All right, y'all. What's up? Hey, Can I Talk My Shift podcast, episode 2, the place where you can find the most for self-awareness, accountability, and leadership in life after loss. I'm your host, Sam Walker Inspo, here with the lovely Lashawn G. What's up, babe?
What's up, love?
What's going on with you?
Man, season 2, episode 2.
Facts.
Episode 7 overall.
Okay. Oh, because of all of the practice episodes and things?
No,
or?
season 1.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because it was all audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a recap from episode 1 of season 2, we spoke about, what we've been up to. We did a recap on season 1 and we went into our why, like for doing this podcast in this manner, audio and video.
Yeah.
Today, though,
firstly, what we got to talk about today is this beautiful mohawk you got going on. It's back, and I'm so thrilled that it's back. Oh my gosh, yo!
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of the many things that I was attracted to when I first met you. Even though I met you in braids first, right? But when that mohawk came out, I said, "Oh yeah." Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you,
That's
my
it.
love.
That's it. 2 months without the mohawk, that's a little too long.
I know it's my signature, but it's a job now. It's not this. It's just like 3 inches longer than it was when you met me. So
yeah, I guess I could see that. I can see
maybe
the growth.
More.
Yeah.
So it's
We need
work.
that though.
Sometimes I need to rest.
Nah.
Let it
need
rest.
That. I need that.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So jumping right into episode 2. I think we're going to title this Shifting Our View, The Person in the Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think that you know exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's show because it was just kind of so sporadic how it came together.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw this question out to you, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts on it before it'll allow us to inch our way through the show. You know what I'm saying? But from the title, Shifting Our View, The Person in the Glass, it means that we are talking about accountability of self and awareness so we can ultimately lead better lives. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's so necessary.
For sure, man. So, all right, check this out. Mm-hmm. On this episode, and this for the viewers out there and the listeners, all right, we would invite you to receive the questions wholeheartedly on this one, and in return, open yourself to new possibilities. That's the only thing that I'm asking. That's my disclaimer. That's our disclaimer. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and get the podding, right?
Yes.
So check it. Why are we always looking for someone to judge? Why are we? And when I say we, I mean the Black community. Why are we always looking for someone to judge?
You asking me that question?
I'm asking you that question.
Man, I think that we are always looking for someone to judge because we are not willing and open to critiquing ourselves. I think that for so long we've tried to turn the mirror away from us and onto other people so that we can call them out and tell them about themselves, magnify their flaws and minimizing our own. Ooh. And it kind of has gotten to a point where it's backfired because as much as we talk about coming together, wanting to come together, all that it's really done is continue to divide us.
I was talking to the homie the other week, and one of the things that we had came to a conclusion on is the fact that, like how you just said, like the world is divided, right? Or there's no unity. There's a lot more division than unity, right? And I said something. I was like, nah, that's part of it, but in all actuality, there's a lot of unity. It's just unity in the wrong things.
Yes, I could agree with that one.
On one end, where the truth seekers, quote unquote, or like the people who are looking to, I guess, progress, right? Us included, progressing ourselves, progressing whoever our audience may be, families and friends. There's division in that because everyone may or may not think that they have the best path. Or I'm going to just say this. I ain't going to even tread lightly. Like I said, people think their answers are the best answers. Though their answers may not be the truth, their answers are right. And so there's division on that side, but there's a whole lot of unity in the part for the shit that don't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So taking it back to why are we always looking for someone to judge? You said something important. You said we minimize our own things, our own flaws, and maximize others. Can you expound on that one?
Well, just take, for instance, maybe somebody who chooses to go their own non-traditional route for their career.
Got you.
We'll just start there. I look at, our case. Let's talk about us.
Yeah.
We don't have traditional things that we do for our career, for work, but someone who thinks and lives in the world of traditional 9-to-5 corporate or, white collar, blue collar work will take what we do and maximize it. They'll amplify it to a negative because it might not look the way they think it should look, and not realizing that work is work. No matter what you do, if you are working, if you're putting in the effort, it's still work. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't look like theirs, but because they are not open to seeing what it is we do, what it is that we believe in, they don't ask about our why we choose to do what we do. I think that they take that and they maximize all of the things that could be considered flaws in what we do.
Okay.
When if they just turn the mirror around,
right?
They turn that piece of glass around, they would see, hey, there's pros and cons to everybody's work, to everybody's career. There are things that you have to do that you don't want to do, and yours are going to look different from ours. Okay. So that's what I mean by maximizing other people's flaws versus minimizing, your own. When it comes to judging someone, I think that it shows up in a lot of places. I just used our work, entrepreneur work versus 9-to-5 work, white collar, blue collar work. I just use those as instances because, it's we've been affected in that way. We have been told that what we do isn't work or isn't hard work, right? But on the other side of that, someone else, who is minimizing what we do or maximizing what we do negatively, they minimize what they do and probably forget the fact that they don't even like what they do. Ooh. Ooh. I could be stepping on toes. I don't know.
You opened up something just now, right?
What?
You opened it up. So just repeat that last part that you said, and I'm gonna explain why you opened it up.
What, that someone else could maximize what we do in a negative way, and they minimize what they do, not even realizing that they could be covering up the fact that they don't even like what they do.
Bam. That part. So now let's take it to a touchy subject. Let's talk about beliefs.
Okay.
With that same statement that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll maximize the negatives of someone else's belief.
Mm-hmm.
Minimize the uncertainties of their own beliefs, right? And negate the fact that they don't even like what they truly think that they believe in.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, it's a touchy subject, which is why we put the disclaimer out there at the beginning. We want you to please keep an open mind about this. Mm-hmm. Receive the information and with an open mind and open yourself up to possibilities, because that's serious, it's real.
It is, man. And so here's the thing for the audience out there, for the viewers, for the listeners. In my journey, and I'm only talking about me specifically, right? I know this is our platform, but in some instances, I just feel like I gotta speak for me only, because I can catch the flack, right? Mm-hmm. In the objective to reach truth, I still want to keep you protected, right? So this is one of the things in my own journey. I've realized that in order to have a better quality of life, it's not how many questions that I ask, but it's more the quality of the question that I ask to get a quality answer to enhance my quality of life.
Right.
So it's less about how many questions, though I ask myself a lot of questions. I ask people a lot of questions, especially when it comes to the arena of belief, spirituality versus religion, right? I've been doing that for years, even since, being younger and growing up in the church, like most people in our community have done.
Right.
And so I find that what you said was key. I kind of rolled it in there, right? Alley-ooped it, because there's some things going on social media where people are being like judged critically for stepping outside of the boundaries of traditional Christianity, traditional religion, and escaping the box to find things that they really align with.
Right.
Now, I'm not talking about things that are surrounded with gender, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a spiritual belief and practice, the belief of God, the belief of the only way through or to God is through Jesus Christ, versus are we God? Are we gods? Right? Do we not have the same? Are we not created in God's image? We don't need to go through a middleman to get to the Almighty, the Omnipotent, right? Mm-hmm. God is not a he. God is both masculine and feminine, divine, divinity, right? So all of these different ways to view, but the way that I ask myself is, well, what is everyone's end goal? At the end of the day, instead of looking at the differences, what are the similarities, and then let's have a conversation.
Yeah. So
I asked that because we saw something. I brought it to your attention. Mm-hmm. Right. Do you want to go into that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that letting people know that this segment, this episode really is nothing about division, even though people will try to dissect it as such.
Right.
This episode, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I know that there are people out there who have questions, who, I'm just like you when I was younger, having questions in my head about certain protocol and things that happen in church and why they happen in this way and why didn't they happen at this church but they happen at this church, and reading different various stories in the Bible brought questions.
A ton.
Some of it was,
them.
Hypocritical. Some of it was like they said this and then they said that. So which part of it is true? I had these questions. I'm sure a lot of people have, had various questions. But at the end of the day, it's really about what's your end goal?
Right.
Are you still trying to bring unity in the whole thing?
Into the picture. Absolutely. So, all right. With that, right? There is a lot of videos floating around on social media, and people in the Christian community are picking apart a trailer that was recently released. Mm-hmm. And if you could dive into that.
So yeah, I'll go into the trailer that we saw. And this trailer, it is by, I think his name is pronounced Jeymes Samuel. Mm-hmm. So Jeymes Samuel and Jay-Z's new movie, The Book of Clarence, where they were the same team that brought us The Harder They Fall. So this team, Samuel and Jay-Z, brought us The Harder They Fall. If you haven't seen that, please watch it. It's dope. Yeah. And in this movie, it stars Lakeith Stanfield, and he plays a down-on-his-luck Jerusalemite who embarks on a misguided attempt to capitalize on the rise of celebrity and influence the Messiah for his own personal gain. The journey leads him on an exploration of faith and an unexpected path.
Yeah.
So that was a trailer. You saw it first and were telling me about it, and I was just like, oh, kind of sounds like, the Bruce Almighty, Evan Almighty type line of movie, but tell me more. And then he showed me the trailer, and it was just like, oh, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that in it. Right. But you heard some feedback about it online.
Yeah, I did. And there was a few videos. It was two videos that I watched. They're each about 7 to 10 minutes long. I watched them in totality a couple times. And the thing that came to my attention was, firstly, the people that made the videos, I believe that they are of the Christian faith. Mm-hmm. And so they said that Jay-Z is a devil worshiper and is making a mockery of Jesus. And in one of the videos, it was pretty interesting because the person said, first he started out by saying that he was making a mockery of Jesus. Then he said that he was making a mockery of God. And so, needless to say, there's a lot of judgment being cast to Jay-Z. Now, again, I'm a fan of Jay-Z, but that doesn't stop me from seeing things in the proper perspective. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when I looked at the trailer, I thought to myself, like, okay, why are they going so hard on the trailer? Mm-hmm. Is it really that he's mocking Jesus Christ? Because, all right, so for those who haven't seen the trailer, I advise you to go watch it, right? So you can pull your own perspective. We'll put
a link to the trailer down in the description of the video so you can check it out.
Absolutely. And so the guy Clarence, right, who Lakeith Stanfield plays, basically sees a Messiah, right? And it's in the biblical time. Mm-hmm. Sees the Messiah. The Messiah is black. So we actually, before I keep going, we actually skip over the fact that the Messiah is a black person or a person of color, which is something that we've been asking for God knows how long in movies to go mainstream, right? The Messiah is clearly a person of color, and we bypass that part because the main character says that he wants to have what that Messiah has. Not necessarily the gift, but the fame and the fortune brought upon him. And so they said that this movie is making a mockery of Jesus Christ. And I instantly thought to myself, we can't win for losing.
Right.
We can't win for losing. And I may get a lot of flack from the Christian community, and I'm cool with that. I will offer myself up, because one of the things that we can't do is that we ask for one thing, we actually get it, but then we dismiss it or minimize the truth that is being put in our face because it doesn't align with what we believe to be the truth.
Right.
In the path. Now, also, I've learned that with comedians, they tuck truth in humor all the time. It's
all
up
the
to
time.
The audience to decipher it, right? Dave Chappelle does it extremely well to a high level.
Yes.
So how do we not know that the messaging in the movie is not being encrypted or coded? I'm just saying, I'm just giving an alternate perspective. I'm not saying that I don't think Jay-Z is a devil worshiper or anything of the such.
Right.
I'm not judging anyone.
Because plenty of people do it for us.
Right.
Plenty of people have been putting Jay-Z, Beyonce on the devil worshiping chopping block for years.
Yeah.
So it's not up to us to judge what they do, what they believe. You know, people are getting. I just saw a video. This is like off subject, off tangent, on a tiny tangent. But I just saw a video yesterday, and I didn't know this happened. If everybody doesn't know, Tabitha Brown, one of my favorite people, and she basically was getting a ton of flack for going to the Beyonce concert.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
And you know, everyone is basically saying, you know, whatever they're saying to her in her DMs, like very, very mean things. People in the Christian faith community downing her because, you know, she will tell you in a minute she believes in God, like she grew up in the church.
As do we.
You know, and as do we. But she is just dead wrong for going to this Beyonce concert because they hide subliminal messages in the art, in the artistry, and she's a devil worshiper, and she's, I mean, all the things. Whatever they were saying to her, they were saying to her. And it bothers me that, like you said, we cannot win for losing. We ask for one thing, we get it, and then we have a problem with it. You know, you have this person who is, you know, speaks with loving kindness all the time, you know, because that is what the higher power wants. That's what the Most High wants. The Most High wants us to be loving, kind people. And yet, when we are loving and kind, we get vilified for it.
Yeah.
When we show our art, we get vilified for it.
Right.
When we speak our mind, we get vilified for it.
When we don't know, or when we discredit ancient African roots, artistry, odes, you know, and things like that. We're quick to put the word crazy on something or someone and demon or devil. Yeah. We're quick to do it. And again, I'm not judging anyone for it. I'm just saying we all know that to be true. When something goes outside of the box or the framing, then it's this. And it's happened for ages. You know, for ages. But to take it back, right? So I left off with we have a Aboriginal Messiah in this movie. I have this person named Clarence who literally says, I want that type of power now. And so he goes on to be a false Messiah Now, again, we haven't seen the movie because it's not out. It's just a trailer, so everyone is making assumptions on what it is.
On a minute and 30 seconds.
Right, just like us right now. But I'm kind of going somewhere with this, so just keep following me, right? So, okay. Then I asked myself, what you alluded to earlier, which is, well, what's the difference between this and Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty? What's the difference? Bruce Almighty, Morgan Freeman is God.
Right. Nobody has ever said anything about that.
And Jim Carrey runs rampant with God's power, right? And makes a mockery, honestly.
Yes. It's comedy.
And it's comedy.
It's a comedic movie.
Now, I don't know if it was well received at the time. I know I was younger when both of those movies came out. So I really couldn't give you the perspective then, and I'm sure somebody will in the comments below hit us with some of that perspective from that time.
Yeah.
But I asked myself, well, what is the difference? Is it because it's a black thing? Like it's majority black people who are producing the movie? Is it because we expect for us to be in, when I say us, I mean black people or Aboriginal people, to be in line with the narrative of Christianity, so much so that we uphold it to a detriment and to a fault, where we can't step and stray out of something to really give a message? I just, I'm just kind of offering that question up.
Yeah, I think it's a valid question. I also think it's a question that a lot of people will try to work around to give you an answer that really isn't answering the question.
Yeah.
But it's a very important question because it begs the question, are we not allowed to seek out knowledge?
Yeah. Right.
Are we not allowed to expand upon information that was taught to us? It wasn't like we grew up knowing these things. This is information that we were told and taught, and we weren't allowed to ask questions about it. It just is what it is. But at a point, some of us get to a place where we want to ask more questions.
Right.
And we want to have additional knowledge. And we seek out that information and we find information, that attributes to what we already know, helps us to learn additionally, helps us to unlearn, and take what we want to take as true and right for us in our lives. Right. And I think not just Christian community, I think various faiths put themselves in a box. But because we're talking about the Christian faith, Christian practices, walking that walk, it's almost like you're wrong for wondering, thinking, learning anything other than what's been taught. And even if people say, you have to know, gotta know the word for yourself. You gotta know,
right.
You have to have your own personal relationship. Well, if I have my own personal relationship, then as long as I am doing good and right by people and being compassionate and empathetic and loving and kind, and I'm speaking the truth in love, am I not doing the work of the Most High?
You got to put that question out there.
I mean,
because that's what this is about.
Yeah.
That's what this episode is about. It's about
right.
asking these questions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, check this out. Going back to the original question, why are we so quick to look for someone to judge?
Yeah.
Okay. I also asked myself, like, how bad do we want someone to be doing the devil's work? I feel like,
right.
Real talk. I feel like, when we start to go, well, let me not say we, let me just speak for myself again. When I started my journey of self-discovery and unpacking a lot of the traumas that I've gone through, I slowly but surely saw how I kept on viewing the world through a hero's lens and villainized people in my life, right? Unbeknownst to them, because of the traumas that I went through with certain people. This is not to say that I disown my part to play, because these are like the steps that you take as you go through your own type of healing, right? And so for me, going through the stages and seeing, okay, like I saw the part, and it was like for a good 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. I can check myself and catch myself now. But in that time when I was going through that stage where it was like villainizing people, man, they ain't nothing but, equating what they did to me to say like, yo, they not on the right side of good. They're on the opposite side of good. But then you get to a place where you wonder, like, well, why do I want my life to be like that? Or I ask myself, why do I want my life to look like there always has to be some type of opposition against me? Because truth be told, those things are actually working for me, because in order to see my strength, I have to be able to go through something of the sort. And then it's going to reappear in my life so I can actually see if I did grow strong enough from it to see it, acknowledge it, and not let it affect me the same way that it affected me before.
Right.
Is that not growth?
That's the definition of growth.
So because I can't sit here and sit in a house and unpack all my shit and then realize like, okay, I'm better now, but never go back outside.
Right.
And never face the thing again. Because how can you say you healed from something until it happens to you again, or it pops up again, and you realize that your response is different?
We don't give ourselves an opportunity to practice as we heal.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
No,
none of us do.
Absolutely, yo. And so that's why I posed this question to anyone listening, to ask yourself, like, how bad do I want someone to be doing the devil's work, to fit a narrative, so that way I can look myself in the mirror and say, yeah, I got the best of them today. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you could really do that with yourself.
Right.
You could
not
really
involve
do it with yourself.
Another person.
I'm sure it's
not involve another person.
I'm sure there's a lot of shit in there to get to that you really not trying to get into. So you rather get into someone else's.
Yeah.
And frame them as the opposition, when really your own opposition is the person in the glass.
Yes.
Man, fucking facts.
Man, listen.
So, but okay. So besides that, I dug a little deeper with the movie.
Okay. With the trailer.
The Book of Clarence. And I said to myself, the Book of Clarence. So maybe people are upset that, they're calling the movie The Book of Clarence. And I'm like, well, I don't remember a Clarence in the Bible.
Right.
I said, what does Clarence mean? What does the name Clarence mean?
Because most names have meaning. Right.
Most names have meaning. So I said, what does Clarence mean? So I'm going to give y'all this information that I went and found. And you can go do your own digging.
You're going to get a little deep.
Yeah, just not too deep, but look. So the meaning of ence, E-N-C-E, is action or process, right? Instance of an action or a process, a noun suffix signifying action, state, or quality. Okay. Also, that which relates to the action or state, as in emergence, diffidence, diligence, or influence. Ence. The ending is an action. The meaning of clare, C-L-A-R-E, which is of Latin origin, means light of clear, a variant of the French names Clara and Claire. This name means bright and famous.
Ooh.
So is it safe to say that the name Clarence translates to brightening, becoming bright, or becoming famous?
Man, listen. Jeymes Samuel and Jay-Z. I don't know if y'all are watching this, gonna catch this clip, but if you even thought about taking that name and using it specifically for this movie for that reason, please let us know.
Hey,
somebody send this to him. To them, let us know.
So look, the Book of Clarence mirrors the definition to the T, where the main character's purpose is to become prominent, famous, authoritative, or gain motion by claiming to be a messiah, a false messiah. Mm-hmm. The reason doesn't matter. We're just looking at the breakdown of the name and how it's attributed to the storyline. So here's my perspective real quick, just to close out this part of the pod.
Yeah.
My perspective is the movie could be less about the mockery of Christianity and more about informing us of how deception and false narratives can become truth the further the story is told from the point of origin.
Listen.
Book of Clarence. Now, that's what I drew from my own studies.
You did a lot of work for that. Like,
I think it's important.
I commend you for that.
That shit is important, man.
Absolutely.
It's important, yo.
But will the average person, because you're not average, you're not average, will the everyday person go that deep? Probably not. I would bet a little bit of chunk of change that the everyday person is not going to go that deep. Again, which is why we ask you to be open and actually look at the possibilities of some of the information in this episode because of perspectives like this. You know, we're not looking and saying that this is the perspective. This is not the answer, but it is a perspective. It is an answer. Right. And I think it fits the bill personally. Okay. If you're doing the breakdown, if you watch the trailer and you take everything that's been said into consideration, could it literally just be that? Or are we so surface level that we can't look at it from any other perspective than the mockery of it?
Absolutely. Because another thing that was brought to my attention too is the fact that when we're dealing with, let's run with the narrative of God and the devil. Mm-hmm. So because if we live in that paradigm, then that means that we are not God or gods, right? Mm-hmm. We are just vessels. Mm-hmm. And so if I look at myself as a vessel to do good in the world, I cannot just study how to be good.
Right.
Because that leaves the other half, and it leaves me open to the other half, which is how to be bad and what bad actually is and what it's capable of. Mm-hmm. If I only study the good and I don't study the bad, how can I know when bad is coming my way or how deep the deception goes?
Right.
So I got to study some of that evil shit in order to be able to bring order to it.
Right.
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 So when I read certain books, right, of possibly Satanism, I'm not saying that I have, but I'm running with the paradigm of me living with God and the devil. I gotta read some of the devil books. I gotta see some of the devil movies. I have to do it in order to know what I'm up against.
Right.
And also to deepen my faith and my roots in God, because I know God got my back and knows that I'm doing this work. So he's gonna keep me protected while I'm on that other side.
Right.
Right.
While you're understanding.
Right, because I'm in there to gain understanding.
Right.
To get to the truth.
Right.
So again, before we demonize things, I think we really got to go and balance it by looking at both sides. Somebody will say, oh, well, that spirit can get upon you, and so you got to stay far away from it. I'm like, look, man, that just sounds like fear to me. I don't think that, excuse me, I don't think that the light of God is that soft where if I know that I'm a vessel and I'm doing the work, that light is going to leave me in the dark.
Right. Well, we literally were created with God in us. You know, if we're talking about verses in the Bible, don't ever think that I'm about to give you verse after verse after verse after verse. I've read a lot of them. Yeah. I have not memorized any numbers.
We're just running with that paradigm, that box. Yes.
Though. But looking at that, it's like, well, if I believe in God and I believe that I was created by God and God is in me, why would I fear seeing what the other side of good looks like so that I can have the understanding, so that I can equip myself even more so that I can continue to do God's work.
Right. And then, you know, just to kind of bring it back full circle, it's like, is that a narrative that has to continue? Which again is, does there have to be this opposition?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and man, there's so many layers to this. We probably gonna have to do a part 2, episode 2 episodes, you know, 2.0 and 2.5, because for real, because I think it's important, man. Like, especially for me, I was one of them people who I didn't know this is where I would kind of end up.
Yeah.
All the things that I've gone through in my life, I never really thought that this is where I would end up being or discussing. And I'm on a search for truth.
Yeah.
So that's why asking more quality questions has given me more quality answers, not to push back against anybody, but for them to dive deeper too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's really all about. It's not I think it's less about going outward and going on a journey there more than it is going inward. And how deep can you go inside to find those things, especially if they say God is in you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when y'all come with the Bible verses, because I know that's coming, another question I'm going to ask, which Bible are we referencing? When y'all come with these verses, I need to know, because that's what happens. When I asked my questions to people in the community, they hit me with Bible verses. And the question that I asked, which I never get an answer for, is, well, okay, so I understand that you're giving me these verses to look at, but which Bible? Because now, to my understanding, there's more than one edition of the Bible, which means that with the most recent edition means that it's further from the original, which means that the translation could have been mistranslated, books are being left out, and all of this information is coming out. It's not like I'm making false claims.
Right.
So when I'm asking this question, I'm literally asking so I can be closer to truth.
Yeah.
But people take it as me trying to show them up, as if I don't believe what they're telling me. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's literally me asking you because I want to get to truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And we should versus being judged
right
for it.
Embrace me.
Embrace it and say, hey, that's never been asked to me before. Let me check this out. Let me see why he's asking that question. You know, have I done my due diligence to look at other editions of the Bible and see what has shifted over time, what has changed over time, what has been left out, what maybe has been added. I mean, it's like the telephone game, you know, when you're talking about the Bible. Now, we were told that this, you know, this is the Bible and this is what it is. But have any of us actually done the work to say, oh, well, this one looks different from this one written 80 years ago versus 40 years ago, and the one that was written 80 years ago is different from the one that was written 200 years ago. That's just a question that I personally, you know, would like to know, you know? So when you ask that question, it's like, yeah, well, you know, it's been written and rewritten and new editions, and oh my goodness, don't get me started on all of the translations. You know, we got the English Standard Version, we got the King James Version, we have the New American, you know, version, we have it translated in other languages. So, and I know for a fact that one understanding to another it sounds completely different. So does that mean is it actually saying the same thing, or does it mean something different? Are we as people are we going to take it in a different context because we're reading a certain, you know, like,
hey, look, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2, guys.
Because where we can go from that point, you know what I'm saying, is I think is very important. Yeah. Right? I'm gonna leave you all with something that I found because I love to read. And for those who don't know, one of our goals with this podcast is to get 1 million people to read. Okay? That may sound like a huge number, but really it's not, especially with the amount of people in the world that actually read today. Whether it's audiobook, you listen to an audiobook, or you actually buy the print book and read it, or you get the ebook version, PDF version, whichever versions that you get. We just want to get people back to the basic fundamentals of reading and properly reading, right? To retain and to understand, to better their leadership qualities and enhance their overall well-being. And so I want to leave you all with this. And I got this from a book. I will not tell the book in this episode. I will tell you the book in the next episode. Because we are entrepreneurs, we understand the gift of writing. We cherish that. I know for me, I did not cherish that gift enough in the beginning or earlier, I should say, in my life. But now understanding the power of scribing, how it's played a major role throughout history and civilizations, leaving an imprint, a lasting imprint that could last through the ages of time, is super important, especially if you find yourself to be a really great writer with a lot of great creative insight. You can literally change paradigms. And so this is why it's important for us to make sure that we spread the message of reading and writing. Okay, but I'm going to leave you with this, and we're going to come back on part 2 to finish the conversation.
Well, wait, before you leave them with that, do you want to share a book of the episode, a book that you are interested in reading? Or
go ahead.
I can do that?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did it on the first episode, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We both did it on the first episode.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay, before we close out. So, if you haven't watched previous episodes, you may know that we advocate, just like he said, reading, whether it's listening to a book or flipping through pages. And we have a short quick segment on what books are you reading? What are you interested in right now? And we always like to offer suggestions to people for books that they can decide to pick up. And we also put these books in the description so that you can check them out. So a book that I have been reading on and off and also listening to is called Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life.
That sounds fire.
And it's so fire. So the book is by Michelle D. Seaton and Suhas Kshirsagar.
Ooh, did you pronounce that?
I hope so.
Yo.
I really hope so. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but...
Hold on real quick. For those who are watching this podcast, right? If you got to this part and you look up this book and you see that last name and you find out that she did not butcher it, but she ran over that motherfucker like glass... smooth over, right, with a Lysol wipe.
The perks of being a track and field announcer.
You gotta drop a like on this video. Point blank, period.
Thank you.
Period, yo.
So the book is called Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. How to harness the power of clock genes to lose weight, optimize your workout, and finally get a good night's sleep. So basically, this book gives you information all about your circadian rhythm, how to utilize that to your advantage so that you can eat, sleep, work out, work at the proper times for your particular circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm, we do not work off of circadian rhythm. We work off of man-made time. And so this book gives you insight on the different arenas of your body's rhythm.
Is this for men and women, or is it
totally for men and women? And it is from an Ayurvedic physician that blends cutting edge science on clock genes with ancient Eastern wisdom to help us understand how to harness the power of chronobiology to effortlessly lose weight, sleep better, exercise stronger, reduce stress, and boost our well-being. So,
boom.
Listen, when we're talking about self-awareness, leadership, being the vibrant, authentic people that we are, we have to know our bodies and we have to know what works best for our bodies. And so, yes, they gave us these things that it can help, but it goes so much deeper than that. So that's what I'm listening to these days.
Yo, that's a fire book.
Yes. And I have it on audiobook and I have the hard copy.
Okay. We're going to leave a link to the book?
Yes. Okay.
And also, we have an Amazon store where any book that we refer you all to, you can literally click the link. We'll have it down below in our caption.
Yep.
And you can go there and you can purchase it right from our store.
Yep. If you choose to purchase, we may get a small commission from it.
Facts. And we also offer wellness solutions, anything from juicing to vitamins. It's just a ton of things in our store that we offer for overall wholeness and wellness. And so I'm sure that if this book isn't already added, it'll be added by the time that this is uploaded. And you can go get it yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to leave y'all with this, and then we're going to come back for part 2 of episode 2. All right. And I'll tell you the book that I got this from.
Okay.
On episode 2.
Okay.
All right. The goal of true teachings is not to fossilize them into a religion or an intellectual exercise, but to outgrow them. Written and spoken truth is dynamic. A person must grow with it and accept the necessary adjustments to complete his understanding. The only form of truth that is infallible is the living truth experienced in initiation. Until then, one has to do the best he can to keep elevating himself to higher truths until the time when the ancient system of learning is reestablished.
That sounds fire. That is a fire quote. the goal of true teaching is not to fossilize them into a religion or an intellectual exercise, but to outgrow them. Yeah. All we're looking for is truth, right? We all want the truth, even if it hurts us. Even if it hurts us, hurts our feelings, guess what? It's okay, because the more you know.
Right. So, yo, I'm really looking forward to part 2 of episode 2. Yo, if you're rocking with us, man, we're on all platforms, the audio platforms, the video platforms. You can really find us on YouTube and Fanbase.
Yes.
Clips will be posted on Instagram, her Instagram, my Instagram, and the podcast Instagram. And we'll say it again, the Can I Talk My Shit podcast, right? All about illuminating the pathways to self-awareness, accountability, and leadership in life after loss. And I'm your host, Sam Walker Inspo.
I am Lashawn G.
And we're going to catch y'all in part 2 of episode 2.
Later, guys.
For sure.